Hey girl,
Hey mama!
ready to get unschooled?
Totally!
Welcome to Mom's Unschooled.
Where we break down all the things from the mundane to the magnificent, so you can think for yourself and do what's right for you.
Hey Erin.
Hey Sarah.
Welcome to Mom's Unschooled. We have a special guest. Can you please introduce him?
I would love to. Introducing the super hunky man of mine. Chris is here, my husband. Hi, handsome.
Hello, ladies.
My husband is very supportive of Mom's Unschooled, and so he wanted to come in and chat with us today. He's had a lot of questions for me in regards to Mom's Unschooled, what exactly that means. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, man of mine, are you here to unschool us about the term unschooled?
I just need to know what the term unschooled means. So what does unschooled mean to you, Erin?
I think it means taking our ideas, taking the status quo and completely flipping it on its head and seeing things for how it really is.
And how you want it to be versus doing things because you, quote, should be doing them because that's what moms do, or doing things because you feel fear or pressured to do them. And stop and thinking about why are you even doing that in the first place? Is it something you believe in for your family? Or are you doing it because of societal pressure about what it means to be a mom in a Western first world capacity? What do you think? Okay.
You go very quick. You're just like, you say it all. You lay it out there.
Is there like a dad's unschooled version? Or is there anything with fatherhood that you felt you were being told by, whoever, whether it was your peers or society, like, this is what dads do. But when you became a father, you might have thought, why do I have to do that? I'm going to do this with my kids, or vice versa.
Yeah, I would say it has to do with work and the capacity of men to provide for the family, and tends to be in the financial respect of, you get up in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you have dinner, you play with the kids for an hour, and you go to sleep. And you rest and repeat that. And I think for at least, I won't even say this is more of the last generation, and as it rolls into ours, I'm not saying it's always been that way, but that was the role of the father. And I think that's one that troubles me the most, because I think as a father, you should be more involved, and that it just doesn't have to purely be, showing that 100% masculine role all the time. And so I think our society's doing better with that. And I think like talking with you ladies, and what you're trying to do is a way in which we're slowly picking at that and getting away from those typical roles that a father or a mother would, do in the household.
So do you enjoy anything about the more traditional capacities of that masculine, bring home the bacon, that's it type of dad? Do you enjoy or like anything about that? Or have you completely made your own role in what you want fatherhood to be?
Yeah, so I think on the masculine parts, like going out and doing outdoors work, or teaching your kid how to work on the car and change a tire and change oil, and some of those what I would say are more the traditional people have that lens of like what a father teaches their kid, how to use tools, how to, do stuff and work around the house and work on the car. I would say in terms of financial savviness is like that's typically probably more traditionally, or not traditionally, that's probably a wrong word, but more historically the father's role. And then some of the more, I would say, stern disciplining, yes, in the family. Not saying that I think like moms haven't historically disciplined. It's just a different lens. And I would say even from my own family and like growing up, I remember, I don't think typically my mom would ever really discipline us. I mean, she might yell. Not sure she's necessarily was a huge discipliner, but it was more or less, hey, your dad will take care of this when he gets home. And that was the role, right, that he played. And so I think as Erin and I approached, and like as we started trying to figure out what we were going to be as mothers and fathers, who's going to be the disciplinarian, I think over time we've kind of ebbed and flow of who does what, and maybe different types of disciplining. But I would say for the most part anymore, we share that responsibility. I don't hold her over the kids' head, or she holds me over there. Like, wait till she gets home. We just snap it out and take care of it in the moment, no matter who's there. And so I think that is a different role that fathers are kind of morphing into. And I think holistically, I think from, the folks of us that have kids now, that's kind of what we're leaning towards.
I would say that we ebb and flow in terms of, good cop, bad cop kind of punishment. Even if we're both home, if I feel that I need to take care of it, I do right away, and vice versa. But it's always a united front. So however he chooses to do some sort of discipline or a punishment and consequences, no matter if I agree with him or not and vice versa, we are a united front. This is what Dad said, it goes. This is what Mom said, that's how it's going to be. Because I think we take on not mom and dad approaches in our family so much as parenting. Now, when it comes to fixing cars, that is all on him. And there are so many things that Dad does that. Dad puts batteries in things because I can never find a screwdriver. But in terms of mom versus dad relationship to the kids, I think we parent as a united front. Would you say so?
Well, most of the time, I think that's one-sided sometimes. I think that's your view of it, but no. That was a joke. But anyways, so I think from the united front standpoint, I think it really comes down to it's addressing things in the moment. And then having the realization that don't impose discipline on your child that the other parent is going to be forced to take over. And so that was one of the things I recognized growing up. And I remember a couple incidences in life. I remember one, and we were playing street hockey one day, and we lived in a neighborhood it was very just narrow and compressed. And there wasn't much transition from, making a left-hand turn onto our road. And all of a sudden, because the house was right up on the corner, all of a sudden, I got hit while we were out playing street hockey
by a car.
It was a residential neighborhood. It wasn't very fast.
That explains so much.
And so that goes down, and my father finds out about it, and he imposes me getting grounded for an entire week. And this was maybe on a Thursday. Well, that was one of the times I remember my parents having a legit argument because my mother was upset that he imposed this discipline on me that then she was going to be the one to carry out, which she was very upset by. And so now I don't exactly remember if it all went down like I got, grounded for a week. It might have been just a long weekend. I remember hanging out the window from the second story, watching all the others played, and they were throwing me the ball and whatnot. But really what the takeaway is making sure we don't, and Erin and I have had conversations about this, is not imposing my discipline of what I choose to do with the kids to her. Not saying that we disagree and I'm doing something that she wouldn't agree, but if I'm going to do it, I need to be able to follow through with it as the individual. I shouldn't bleed that over and on to her taking the responsibility.
Take care of it now.
So, and I would say for the most part, we don't discipline as it has to be an elongated. And our kids are young enough now. It doesn't need to be, days on end of discipline.
And this conversation sounds like we punish a whole bunch. I feel like we've been on this topic for a minute now. We're pretty free-flowing, chill parents. And so when punishment happens and needs to happen, it takes place and it's over. Like ripping off a Band-Aid. But
yeah, you're bringing our negative side out.
So I didn't even ask about the punishing. You brought it up. All right. You brought up the punishment stuff as a way of explaining how you guys don't necessarily fall into the traditional roles of let's wait till dad gets home or we're going to see what dad says about this. What are some other things that you think other dads need to get unschooled about as far as what it means to be a father?
I would say a big part of that is, frankly, it's spending time and recognizing when the workday ends. And I need to go home and take care of that other obligation that I chose. I chose to have children, right? And so that is an obligation. And I don't think that we're in a modern society, right? We are not in a society 50, 100 years ago where you had to constantly be doing manual labor to get and make enough money to provide for your family.
And you had babies to help with the chores.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge farm families, that's where they had 12, 14 kids to milk the cows.
So I think a lot of it, and today we're still coming off of that mindset of, well, a father's job is to provide and we have to keep doing those things to provide, when we are slowly moving into a society where it's a shared from a mother and father. The family shares that burden to provide for it, and it's not just a person. So I think one of the things that I think that fathers need to get unschooled is like, hey, you have two obligations. One of them is to work, right? And one of them is to provide and to make sure you have a good life for your family. And however that, whether that's a 75-25, a 50-50, or what have you with you and your spouse. But it's to come back and recognize you need to disconnect from that job and go to your family and mature them into adults, right?
I'm glad you mentioned that it's a choice of how long are you going to stay at work and what balance works for your family. So you're in a pretty traditional male role as far as being in the military. Mm-hmm. Do you ever find it hard to switch off the military man mindset and be like, peace out, now it's time, now it's family time? How do you negotiate that?
Yeah, I don't think I have that problem.
No, that's great.
No. I mean, and I would say that most people probably don't think I have that problem.
I would concur.
So what has helped you not have that problem?
That's a good question. I think I have become more tame as I get older. I
think your bark has gotten a lot less biting over the years, but I also think that you see your priorities clearly. And yes, you go to work and you Marine all day long, but when you come home, you are a dad. I am so, proud and impressed. Is that allowed? I love the dad that you come home and you are for our kids. And I think it's all about the quantity versus the quality time. You make them feel like the most important munchkins in the world when you are with them. And then if you have to work a little bit longer at home, you make sure they're in bed before you get out the work again. I think you've always had the personality that you could turn things on and off. There's not a lot of multitasking in this man, but I think you could say that about most men. And so when he is on, he is on. And so when he comes home and he is on as a dad, I think he is so capable of dropping all of that, maybe the bad stuff that happened at work that day, the stressful stuff, the things that have been really irking him. And I consider it crossing like a red line. Mm-hmm. He walks in that door and he puts it all away until it needs to be brought up the next day. And he dads until the end of the day. But another thing I appreciate about him in particular is the whole breaking up the responsibilities and duties of our house. This man will cook, clean, fold laundry. I'm at home all day long. That doesn't mean I got around to it. I mean, we're homeschooling kids these days. Working out is very important to me. Sometimes life happens, right? But there's never an eye roll. There's never a harsh word. He just takes over where he sees I need a lot of help. Because let's face it, our work doesn't end just because it's 5 o'clock, either one of us. I mean, we have to get those munchkins fed, in the bath, in bed, and then we can settle down and decompress. But I mean, we're still running hard,
right?
As parents,
right? But that's the ability to kind of, you said, switch it off when you're home is, I think, huge. You also seem to me, and I don't know you super well, to be someone who's never really cared about what other people think. So I had asked you earlier, what has made you really not care about fitting whatever the traditional mold might be, or staying at work till 8 p.m. just because, or things like that. Is not really caring what other people think, has that been part of it at all? I
don't think that is accurate. I think I do care, but I would say I'm very much somebody that wants to go against the grain.
Interesting.
So okay. I don't think it's not that I don't care.
Although a lot of people see it as such.
Yeah, I want to show you a different side. And that's maybe if everybody's supposed to, wear a blue shirt, I want to wear a red. Right. And so
not even to be a jerk,
yes,
but just
because it's different and it shows everybody like it's okay to be different. I feel like I'm reading those books about Todd right now. But anyways.
Todd Parr books.
Yeah,
We'll link those below. But no, absolutely. So if we're talking about unschooled, this man is the epitome of unschooled because he loves to defy status quo. He will give you a reason why saying yes is going to be more beneficial than saying the easy no to things. And he is always ready for challenge and change. And we can all say that we are, But if you really think about being excited about change, and he and I have talked about this, how many people can actually say that?
Very few.
We live in complacency and contentment. Mm-hmm. This man is always ready to flip life and social norms and policies and ideas on their head and show you a different side of it. Now you can call it thinking outside of the box if you want. I just see him, I see the words status quo and them being flipped upside down. And so he's always ready to defy that. I think it goes with parenting as well, too. He's not afraid to change things up or act a fool one way. He loves changing it up, and that shows in his parenting as well.
So I think I've always been the person that is accepting of change. I'm not saying I do it well. I think we as humans, we like the idea of change. We don't palate change well. I don't know. I think I've always liked to be a little bit different and not like awkward different, but just, hey, just if you want to go right, I want to go left. And it's not because that is a danger, like I don't want to go to a dangerous place or I'm doing something. I just want to show you that can take us someplace fun and it's exciting as well. But to go back, I think I've been kind of going in my brain. So I don't think it's not that I don't care, but I think I had some opportunities in life and I experienced some things that showed that we take for granted a lot of things that, and I think it's complacency, right? It's the day in and day out grind. And some experience in life have shown me that there are certain things that are important, there are certain things not. There's some things that you're part of that will just keep moving, whether you're there or not. Like it's going to keep moving. But you have to be able to transition between those of like when it matters and when it doesn't matter. And can it wait till tomorrow to care about and stress about it? I'm not saying you don't go to work and you stress about it, or you don't come home and care about you have to come home and care about your kids' schoolwork or whatever is important to them. And I think that's what's important about being, mother, father for a child. But I think life experiences and I think our job and the life that we live right now, where we're forced to move all the times, allows us to be pulled out of complacency and status quo. And that's probably what my favorite part about it is I know that in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I'm going to go do something different. I almost have to hit the reset button, which is pretty amazing because a lot of folks don't have that opportunity in life. They might work the same job for 40 years, but maybe not today's day and age, maybe 10 years, 5 years, but that's a lot of time that you keep thinking I'm going to do something tomorrow that you get to actually hit reset and say, okay, what is important? Am I doing the things that I need? How do I be a better mom, a better dad, a better spouse, lover, etc.? I just go everywhere.
The lover threw me off at the end.
That's
I had to do it.
I think what you're kind of pointing at is that, and what's actually really impressive to me is that you've managed to negotiate this you're in a more traditional hierarchical organizational role in work, but you've also found a way to make kind of non-fear-based, non-societal pressured decisions about how you want to manage your life and your family. And I think that's something really important that kids can pick up on. Because to your point about encouraging people to not just to be a jerk and say, well, you say turn right, I'm going to go left and I'm going to show you, but just to pause and show them that, hey, there's an alternative way, right might be fine and you can still choose that, but let's stop and think for ourselves for a moment. So it seems like some of this could rub off on your kids, right?
I think our kids are phenomenal hikers. And it's simply because we go all over Europe hiking 5, 6, 7 miles a day with an 8, 7, and 5-year-old, and they don't know any different. We've pushed them. We push their limits. You push their limits a lot, and I'm usually along for the ride. Something like their long hair. We have 2 boys with super long blonde hair, which is almost an anomaly in the military. And you show them that, yes, it's different, but it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. And so I think you do teach our children to think for themselves, to challenge status quo, and never be complacent.
Well, I think a lot of that is too, I want them to understand it now that it's okay to be different and okay to challenge normalcy instead of deciding when they're 17 years old, like, I want to defy normalcy. I think it's better to just show them naturally now that it's just okay. Like, you don't have to look like your buddy over there. You don't have to necessarily dress the same way, wear your hair the same way, whether it be you don't have to have the same skin color. I think that just attributes to everything, and especially those that's looking at like our life right now and what our country's going through. It's okay to be different. I keep thinking about the Todd book.
Todd Parr.
So I think the other thing as a father that I want other fathers to unschool about, heck, this is like Parents 101, is what one thing that Erin and I do is, or we try our best to, how about this, is wherever we have the opportunity is to include our kids and have them observe and be at least sitting in the same room at the same table of real life problems and decision making. And so whether we're talking about their grandparents putting a dog down, or somebody died, or how much money we can spend for a trip, or, a conflict that's going on in the neighborhood between whether it be parents or kids, or what's going on in politics, we want to have real conversations with them, or at least them see real conversations that adults are doing. And I think that's one thing that for many years, at least growing up, I feel like a lot of kids were part of. And I think that's how we make our kids better. And some people probably argue that we're trying to mature them too faster and that we're taking away their innocence. I don't believe that. I think we are setting them up for a life of success instead of they have to all of a sudden find out when they're, 35, like, oh, I've never had to deal with that. And I've never seen that. I was just, because I was always shielded from it. Now, how do I react to this? They have seen that through life, and they already can anticipate it happening. They have their gut reaction that's going on. So, I think as parents, that's one thing we've tried to do is include them in the conversation or be part of decisions. And that's one thing we do we try to push to our daughter who doesn't like to make decisions, is whether it be a trip that we're going on or what we're having for dinner, is like they are part of those life decisions.
Well, that's definitely an unschooled attribute, because I definitely think there's a shift from what you were talking about. It's not in the vein of, like you said, maturing them too fast. It's in the vein of helping them build their own capacity to think and make decisions versus managing every decision of their life. And so I can see, if you've had your decisions managed your whole life, when you get 35 and you have some sort of crisis, not knowing what to do. So I think that's a very critical unschooling characteristic.
Well, and who better to hear it from than your parents, who are supportive. You want them to come to you for honesty and advice. If you've been talking to them for their whole childhood, not talking over their heads, not talking after they go to bed, they are included in family discussions, world news, conversations, issues. It is setting them up for success from an early age.
What song would personify an unschooled dad?
I'm a gummy bear. I'm a gibby gummy bear.
Well, the duck walked up to the lemonade stand.
What are you saying?
Have you not heard these songs?
I've heard the gummy bear.
That's dad music.
I don't know if I have a theme song yet.
That's very unschooled of you too.
I'm hoping it's not like Pokemon or the Gummy Bear song or something on Kibs Bop. I'm hoping it's none of those things. I get a lot of that. Or
not a dance monkey.
Because that's what Curly is.
Yeah. That seems like what our favorite songs are in the house.
So even though you don't have a theme song yet, dads can get unschooled too.
Thanks for listening to Moms Unschooled.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, or email us at momsunschooled@gmail.com. Juicy!